Welcome to another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Stady Arnell. My man, Mr. J. Lou. What's going on, J. Lou?
Tighten up, bed. Tighten up.
Tighten up, man. G will be on in a minute. Man, so, I know we're talking about the second quarter of the schedule, but, man, we got to talk a little bit about OTAs because what's that guy's name? Cam Ward. Man, down there throwing bullets.
Oh, man. Bullets is an understatement, man. He's had some that they put out on video that just, it's, if you have yet to look at any of the videos that any of the Titans media or local media have put out, just go look at him and just look at how fast his release is. Don't look at nothing else. Don't look at nothing else but just how quick the ball comes out of his hand. And you had heard that from a few of the wide receivers. So I can't wait to, hopefully in another month and a half or so, we can see it in person if we can get to training camp, because that looks like something we hadn't seen in a Titan uniform in a long time. Now, again, right. It's still early. They throwing on air, etc. But you might actually have a quarterback.
You might have. He's if you looked at some of the beat writers from down there last week, in particular on the last day of OTAs, they were talking about the throw of the week of OTA so far when he fits it in the Gunnerham.
Yes.
And between a tight window and everybody's raving about it. But like you said, it's against air. Yeah. It's against not a real pass rush. But even though they're going, I'm not saying full speed, but he is getting a good look at a defense and but so far so good. But we all know that once the live bullets start, it's a little different story, right?
So we're not a little different then.
Q, man, look, we needed some assistance.
Yeah. Q, my eyesight is catching up with my age.
so I had to get a little help sometime. Yeah, man. It ain't wrong. It ain't wrong. It ain't. Sometimes you gotta get a little assistance for them eyes. Yes. Man. That's how I go. Especially with me and Mr. J. Lou, we sit in front of the computer all of our day. So you gotta have something for your eyes at some time, man. But yeah. So again, second quarter of the schedule, J. Lou, man. After a tough start, we hit it up last week talking about the Rams. After we played the Broncos with that defense, and we had to go against the Rams, and we had 2 AFC South games. So now, week 5, you start off with another road game at the Cardinals, a team that was 21st in total defense, 14th against the pass, 20th against the run. Yeah. Offense wasn't too bad. Top 10 rush offense. Really made a concerted effort to increase the defensive side of the ball for this football team. But talk to me about the Cardinals and what kind of challenge that presents in week 5 on the road.
Another challenge you got here is a quarterback that can escape the pocket.
Yes.
We've seen Kyler Murray. We saw him 2 years ago when he was in Nashville, and
yes,
he's a tiny thing, but he moves around, man. And so this is one of those quarterbacks again that we're going to have to play contained and stay contained on. As you mentioned, they got some weapons on the outside. We're curious to see how Marvin Harrison. I'm not gonna say quiet rookie season, but right. High expectations and not the top wide receiver, but curious to see how he is in year 2 again in the NFL system. As you mentioned, made some changes on the defensive side of the ball. Really had a decent draft when you think about that team. They're just an inconsistent team. And when you look at the NFC West, and again, that's the division we'll talk about a lot since we got them this year.
Right.
They were that team that right into maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season, they were right in the thick of things in the division, and it just kind of faded off. So this team goes as Kyler Murray goes. If we can get to him, he now one thing you have to stay is that defensive backfield. They're gonna have to stay plastered to their man. Because right. he's one of these quarterbacks that can do all that scrambling in the backfield, get away from you, and find somebody wide open 70 yards down the field. So right. I think that's something that we're definitely going to have to contain to. And again, it's a West Coast game, first of back-to-back West Coast games. I will mention this because a lot of folks ask right now, as it looks, just hearing some things from inside the building. This is one of those games they're going to go out west, come back home, and then go back out the next week. If you think about it, it ain't like they're going to Seattle or whatnot. And again, you have to remember the Titans this year are one of a handful of teams that will play in every time zone in the United States. So Arizona At that time of the year, I think it's only an hour behind because they still stay on Mountain Time sometimes. So not really a big of adjustment. You think about a flight, now you talk about a 3-hour flight or so. So I kind of understand going out, making a business trip, and coming back. But it'd be curious to see because again, this is coming off of a divisional game, off of 2 divisional games,
right?
Off of 1 on the road, and this is the one right in the middle of this 3 road stretch. So again, a game that they can get, and it's a game that you need to try to get on the schedule.
Yeah, and like you said, man, Arizona was right in the thick of things. The NFC West was a tight 3-team race there for a while. You know, San Francisco had some issues. They finished 8-9, and really, if you look at the draft, Walter Nolan, D tackle out of Ole Miss, a Tennessee guy, right from West Knoxville area. Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. Now he had some injuries coming to the draft, but you know he's a good player as well. Jordan Burch, the edge out of Oregon. Cody Simon, linebacker from Ohio State, and then Denzel Burke, corner from Ohio State. So you saw where the majority of their draft went for this football team to add to that offense. Like you said, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a pretty solid year. Wasn't the year they thought he was going to have. If you've caught any kind of glimpse of him right now, he's put on some weight, and he's ready to make that leap in year 2. James Conner runs that ball hard. It's gonna be a good challenge, like you said. It's gonna be a first of 2 West Coast games, and coming off 2 divisional games.
Yeah.
And then you look at that defensive side of the ball. They add Josh Sweat to that edge. Baron Browning, outside linebacker from the Broncos, and still Buda Baker supporting that back end. So tough game on the road. Kyler Murray is always, like you said, present a problem because he can escape the pocket. And, you know, for whatever reason, we've always got an issue with mobile quarterbacks.
Always.
And it doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is.
No.
So hopefully, you know, by that time we've kind of had our got our footing, going into this game after those first 4, and maybe we can come out with a victory on the road before we head over to Las Vegas, your second home, Jay Lou,
yes, sir.
on the road. A team, again, that wasn't real good on offense, particularly 32nd in the league in rushing with 79 yards. But Ashton Genting, they drafted him in the draft, arguably the best running back that came out of the draft this year, Jay Lou, man. And that's going to be a problem for us right there.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Not to mention, you get Geno Smith, you get Pete Carroll over there. Now they got a new coaching staff, new team. You know, Pete's a tough coach.
He loves to run the ball.
Loves to run the ball. Yes, loves to run the ball. And this would be one of them games that you'll see that it'd be a time control game. One thing I'll say about this, and I literally just thought about it looking at the schedule. This 3-game road trip, all 3 games are played in the dome. You don't have to go out now. Houston can be stupid and open the roof, and Arizona might open it, but for the most part, you have no weather effect from that standpoint. I thought that was just something that's unique. But again, I think this one out of the 3, and if you just look at a lot of Titans social media from fans and stuff, this one has the potential to be a semi-home game for the Titans because I think there's a lot of fans that have been eager for that game to get out to Vegas. Again, we talk about a nonstop flight, 3.5, 4-hour flight to get in and get out. So this is, again, another AFC battle. So, yeah, it's not a conference game. I mean, it's not a division game. Right. When you start thinking about the conference and you start talking about wild cards, you don't want to look up December 7th and be like, man, I wish we could have got that game October 12th that we should have got. But, again, this is one to load up to stop the run. We played Geno. I mean, Geno is who he is. Good veteran.
Geno. Yep.
He's one of those that this is a game where our defensive line is going to have to, how can I put this, not let the rules of the league scare them because Geno is a big guy. And if you go in there and just try to touch him and tag him like that, he can escape. And we know he has a cannon and can throw the ball. So this is one they're going to have to really punch him and hit him. But like you said, we know Pete's going to run the ball, play action. So it's just about how well you can do. But again, I think this now again, the Raiders do have Mad Max on the other side. So he's going to give one of them tackles. He's going to try to give them some work that day.
Mr. Moore's going to have his statistic.
Yes. So to our point, we're going to definitely have to, this is one we have to run the ball to kind of slow that down. I think, and again, I think you can get after them. Again, the Raiders were not that great last year. And again, they changed some coaching, did that, but it's still for the most part, same team minus upgrading. Like I said, and they got a big upgrade at the quarterback position. But again, another game that I still think you can get out and win. And you can start stacking a couple of wins early in the season against teams that you should win. They can kind of help you if you look towards the end of the season for a wild card berth.
Yeah, and they really don't have a weapon that you're afraid of per se, as far as on the outside. Now, of course, they got Gentry running back, right? Offensive line is kind of improved from last season.
Yeah.
But so there's a chance, right? I think there's a chance for us to get out to Geno, like you said. Pete Carroll's a big cover 4 guy. He plays cover 4 quarters. He plays cover 4 palms. And so we know we get with that 4 deep guys, and they're going to play the run. They're going to stop the run, and they're going to make you throw the football. And if knowing Pete like we know Pete, because he's been around for a long time, he's going to make Cam Ward beat him. And and try to bring some pressure and give him some different looks. And so added Devin White to that defense, Jeremy Chin on the back end, Eric Stokes. And then, like I said, the draft, they had a great draft as well, had a lot of picks in the draft and addressed a lot of positions. And so, another tough game, man. It's always tough, like you said, going out on the West Coast. That time difference is just something different.
Man, hey, as somebody who just came from that last week, it took me a day and a half to recover, and it's just 2-hour difference.
Right. And so it's going to be a test, and like you said, after going back-to-back weeks, and maybe they do something like you said, they come back the day of, they play the Cardinals and come back and and get an extra day of rest before going to Vegas. But again, another game we need to have, and like you said, if it comes down to a tiebreaker later on, that's going to be a game that probably is going to make a lot of a difference in the end. And so week 7, J. Lou, this is and I was hoping G Witt was going to be on by now, because I know this is one he's looking forward to. It's the Mike Vrabel game,
Bowl, baby. Vrabel Bowl.
As the Pats come to Nissan Stadium, J. Lou. I mean, the New England Patriots did a great job in the offseason adding. Now, I don't know how many receivers they're going to have playing, because they can't stay off social media now.
They can't, and Diggs might be cut.
Right. And, if you listen to social media and some of the front office brass, they said it's not impossible.
Right.
Be cut. It's it's going to be pretty interesting to see who comes to Nissan. But, man, looking at their draft, of course, they Vrabel style. He builds the trenches, right? You see Will Campbell in the first round. Then he goes to get Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State. He brings in and gets another Kyle Williams at receiver, goes offensive line, address some defenses as well. It's gonna be a tough game, man. Vrabel's Vrabel. He's gonna have his team coached up. They're gonna be tough. But Drake May, is he the answer at quarterback for this team? I think that's where we are.
The one thing I'll say about Drake May, just from knowing Vrabel, how we know him, he's going to make it. Now, again, they have Josh McDaniel is their offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. So just curious to see how the dynamic is there. But knowing Vrabel, it's going to be running back by running back by running back, because they got 2 good running backs back there in the backfield. And so, a lot of play action. And if you just think about Vrabel, the time he was here with Tannehill, we leaned on Derrick Henry, so you would figure he'd lean on the run game and the run game to set up the pass. And we saw Drake May. I mean, I thought Drake May, he was, and just to be honest, he was an overtime play away from beating the Titans last year, bringing them back. So, that pass he threw to tie the game, to put it in overtime, was an NFL play. So, that's going to be curious. Again, it's the emotion behind the game. I'm like you. I'm glad that I would have rather it been week 1 to get it out of the way. But this is one that, just like Amy probably has the Houston Texans game circled, we know this one is circled
definitely
for her. So you don't want to be embarrassed by New England. Again, we have a different team from when Vrabel left, and New England. Let's just not forget, New England was a Joe Milton heck of a game away from having the number 1 draft pick as well. So
that's right.
He's got this. New England this year is going to be, for those, and again, I'm not knocking Vrabel. I thought he was a decent coach, a heck of a coach while he was here. Right. But one thing we always said was we questioned if he would be able to build a team. You got to remember, he took over playoff contender. Mm-hmm. So now he's taking over a team that was basically tied for being the worst team in the league last year. Let's see how quick he gets him up to speed. You know it's gonna be a tough game. It'll be a Harold Landry revenge game because he signed with them. So he's got some veterans on that side of the ball to kind of help bring them along. And again, you're talking 7 weeks into the season, so by the end you really started clicking because you're past September when we say that's the extra preseason. But it's gonna be a very high emotional game. I just like you said with Pete Carroll, I think Vrabel's gonna make the rookie try to beat him. And again, we just have to see what at that point in the time how it advanced in the playbook is Cam Ward and does Callahan. This is a game where Callahan to me has to be he has to keep it, not let the emotions get to him as well.
Jay Lee, you disappeared, man. I can hear your voice.
I did, man. I don't know why I disconnected my camera.
Yeah, so we get some comments in, and then we'll get some more of this. Mikey says trade Will Levis Burks and a 6 for Kyle Pitts. That's pretty interesting, Mikey. Have we given up on Chig by talking about trading for Kyle Pitts? He left me for real. And so that's why I'm at with that. Is Chig now being replaced by Kyle Pitts? Is that the route we go? Jay Lou, I don't know if you can still hear me.
I can hear you.
Josh McDaniels, Dion is the OC for Vrabel.
For Vrabel, yeah. I don't know if I like that trade. And the only reason I say that is this is gonna be crazy, and I'm sure the comments are gonna come. I don't know if Chig and Pitts are they the same? I feel like they both have been underused. Now I will say Pitts probably has more upside than Chig, but in this offense, if you would have asked me in the last regime, because we know how we love the tight ends in the last regime. But in this regime, is how much is Callahan really trying to use the tight ends as opposed to a third wide receiver? And that's the only reason I would say it, because Pitts has that ability to be to line up and be a little bit more tight end than Chig, but you just drafted that,
right?
And Gunner.
Right.
So
right.
I mean, I've seen that trade, and I think you have to get Levis off. If you heard Levis talk any last week during the
boy,
he sound like somebody who
defeated.
He sound defeated, and as a fan, you want him to ball out in preseason and somebody overpay and give you a 4th or a 5th for him. But I think they got to move him. I'm not so sold on Burks being moved before the season.
Yeah, and we saw him back this week, and as you always say, they started trying to put stuff on tape for trading purposes, and so he's back because he knows this is his last hurrah, right? Yeah. So he's got to get on the field. Dion, man, sorry, brother. We lead the time kind of fluid because life happens sometimes. So, but man, you got to get on YouTube so you can get those notifications. But appreciate you, George. Like Will, Kiera, how you doing, Kiera? Taylor Stokes, Joe,
Taylor,
yeah. And so
I agree with Joe. Joe says no to the trade, draft and develop. And again, as a unit that needs all these draft picks, I'm not saying don't trade, but I don't want to trade and we have to give up draft assets. We need to be collecting draft assets.
And that's why I was at, man. I didn't, because I knew because of where he was drafted, although, like you say, I don't think Kyle Pitts, as well as Chig, had been utilized to their fullest potential.
Yeah.
And so, but where Kyle Pitts was drafted, we was going to have to give up some collateral for him, right? And so, like you said, Gunningham, Chig, Josh Wiley, it's that same mode. They're not inline blockers.
Who we talked about in text messages, we DMR.
We
still got DMR around last year. That to Joe's point, a DMR is somebody that you try to draft and develop. You basically redshirted him last year because you snuck him on the 53. You basically kept him active most of the season, but then you got him back this year, and hopefully, he takes that step and learn how to be a pro and be an NFL player. So I would say no to the trade, but I'm not against getting rid of Levis and or Burks. But I just think that if you had to make me choose right now, I think you're more likely to see Burks line up in September than you are Levis.
Yeah, and so back to the game though, the defense is Vrabel's a 3-4 guy.
Yeah,
and I'd have to look up his DC because he didn't bring Bo. It's the defensive line coach that was here.
Yeah, big T.
Yeah, Big T.
Big T. Yeah,
but Vrabel again, unless he changes from his normal thing, he'll play cover 4 quarters out of 3-4 defense, and his DBs will line up at 10 yards off.
10 yards off.
Now he could change. He's got Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the league.
Yes,
right. He's got Carlton Davis III on the other side, Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar at safeties, Marcus Jones in the nickel. And so he has some people there that are more talented than what he had when his last few years here, right? He's got Robert Spillane at linebacker. You already mentioned Harold Landry at linebacker, outside guy. So, we might see a little something more aggressive. I'd have to see it because his trend, his MO is playing cover 4 a lot out of the 3-4 defense.
And his trend is not to be good against rookie quarterbacks.
Right. So, this game, like you said, Miss Amy will be very interested in. And I think it'll be a great game. I think it will.
Yeah.
And it'll be another one of those, Jay, like you said, it'll be one of those tiebreakers type situations that, between this one and the Raiders game, we got to get one of them. We got to get one of them. And this is probably the one that we need to get. And so Deion said Burks is a bust, total non-factor until he shows me a whole lot. And even then it's not enough. That's true. I agree. But and he never had a shot when they got him. He never had a shot. We said that time and time again. And too bad that it didn't work out because I thought he had potential, but we hadn't seen it yet. He said Big T had a medical issue a few weeks. This is Joe a few weeks ago. Okay.
He did. He I don't know if he'll be back for training camp or mini camp, but he did have some medical stuff that he had took a semi-leave of absence, which he'll have during the off season. But
and as I'm looking at the roster for the Patriots, it's so funny because you see Austin Hooper, right? But guess who else you saw? You see Jack Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbies.
Yeah, Dr. Gibby.
Gibbies is there. Gibbies is there. Vrabel love Jack Gibby.
Love Dr. Gibby.
Monty Rice is there. And so
I didn't know about Monty.
And so it just gets interesting and more interesting as this goes on. But great game. It'll be very electric, I think.
Yes.
And so we'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be a challenge for us. And he's gonna want to win that game by all costs. Darius, man, appreciate you joining us tonight to see. Deion says Cam and Espresso will eat variable stay on defense. Yeah, we can talk about our X-Man in just a second because he's special, man. So then they wrap it up. J. Lou going on the road against the Colts in the third AFC South game in the first 8 weeks. Tough to get that one. On the road. After you've been after this Patriots game, which is going to be a physical game, we know that, and you've had 2 road games on the West Coast, and you come out, it's going to be a tough stretch for a young football team.
It's going to be a tough stretch for a young football team. You can see the bye week on the horizon from that one. Now this one is one of those weird 3:25 kickoffs that's not even in the Western time zone out west. So you get a little bit of that, and again, when you talk about flights and all this, hopping a jump to get to Indy. You got to split. So if you didn't get the one in September, you got to get this one. You cannot afford as a team to be swept by the Colts again this year if you want to take that next step in the division. And I mean we talked about them last time. If I was a betting man, which I like to bet, I'm almost tempted that the quarterback you see September 21st might not be the same one you see October 26th for the Colts.
I would probably go in with you, and I don't. So.
I don't think it'd be the same one. Again, the Colts, man, you don't know what that team is. How we talked about last year, and with Joe put in that condolences to the owner, Ursay family with him passing. You don't know. I feel like now, this coaching staff and general manager, they might be in a lame duck season. Yeah. I think Ursay was very loyal. Because if you just listen to a lot of the tea leaves the last year and a half, nobody knows how that GM still had a job and the coaching well. So it could be in a lame duck season, depending on how I think he's got a daughter. So depending on how that ownership group goes or whatnot, but you just don't know how to affect the team. And again, this team to me is the most question mark team when it comes to quarterback play. And speaking as a Titan fan that was on this thing last year, we know how quarterback play can derail your season. So, they spent a high draft pick number 4 overall.
Yeah,
Anthony Richardson, and let's just be honest, this could possibly be his last year being a Colt. So again, the biggest thing in this game is you've got to figure out, if you didn't get the one in September, you definitely got to have the one in October. And if somehow you did get that one in September, then close it out with a sweep.
Yeah. And Dion says our X factor in a lot of these games, and nobody knows what to expect from us on each side of the ball. Expect us to have shock a lot of teams and massive upsets. Taylor says, again, division games are always toss-ups. That's right, Taylor.
They are.
Because you never know what team you're going to get. Even though the quarterback room is messed up and ended just like it is in Cleveland. And like you said, we could see a different quarterback than what we see in week 3. so it'd be crazy that. But yeah, a big rival with the Colts. Like you said, you never know how the effect of losing owners is going to be on this team. But it's a division game, right? Yeah. It's a tough game. Yeah. This rival goes back from when Peyton Manning and Steve McNair, and how it went back and forth, and then the coach Andrew Luck dominated the AFC South, and then we came back and had that run with Vrabel. It started with Malarkey, and and continued over with Vrabel, and so now nobody knows what to expect from either team. So we both trying to get that identity back, but again, as we're trying to catch up to the Texans in the AFC South, and so it's gonna be quite a challenge, and I hope so, Joe. Joe says at least special teams won't lose those games with bones. I hope so, man. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. So let me ask you a question, Jay, because there's been a lot of talk. And I know the answer, but what do you make about Callahan? Is it just coach speak? This quarterback competition? Is it just coach speak right now? Because it's easy to see.
I'm be honest. If you, as a fan, and as somebody who would love to see Callahan be successful, because that obviously means that the team's doing good, and you don't want to see the turnover. I like hearing him say competition, even if it's coach speak. And the reason I say that is because let's think about June 1st, 2024. We already knew Will Levis was a starting quarterback, and he hadn't done nothing but beat Atlanta. So to go in and say that you're gonna make it competition and make Cam Ward have to earn it. Now, again, you probably given him more of an opportunity to earn it in practice.
Right.
And so far, again, on air, he has done nothing to let you down. I mean, you've heard a lot about him being they having to kick him out of the complex over there.
He's at 5 o'clock in the morning. Him and X.
In the playbook, he's doing what you want the quarterback to do. And we have a quarterback now he's nothing but all ball. He's just about ball. So I think this is one of those where Joe just took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say, Callahan, you heard him talk a lot about self-reflecting at the end of the season. This is one where he learned his lesson to say, hey, no, I've got a quarterback competition. Forget all the outsized noise from the national media who's saying it's crazy. What if Will Levis starts game 1? That's not happening. But I think he's making it a point to say, okay, we haven't seen Cam do anything in NFL yet. He's going to have to earn this spot.
I know Dion. I just have to throw it out there. Which I go say, man. in Dion fashion, Dion answers the way Dion is. So appreciate you, man. We love you, man. Man, we can't look. We don't do this show without you, man. You know that. So, yeah. But I love everything that's been coming out so far. Restrepo, he's probably gonna be the steal of undrafted free agencies. Now, and everybody's seeing that. I mean, he's route running, his hands. I think, but to me, the concern is J. Lou right now because we don't know, and I know we're in OTAs and they're about to go. We still got a month left of those, and then they go on their July break and they'll come back. Mm-hmm. But the secondary with Snead, and I know Callahan said he's rehabbing and he's coming along quite well, but we don't know. Yeah, we don't know, and this could be a trade bust, if you will. But we have the guy. that traded him to us.
Yes,
so he knows.
He knows.
Right?
Yeah.
And so don't be surprised if Mr. Snead is moved some kind of way.
Especially when you start looking at his contract and if he can't get on the field. Now, again, I think that to your point with what you saw with the general manager and the front office do this offseason, they loaded up on DBs.
Yeah.
Just to kind of prepare in case he's not there. If he's there, then great. You've got even more depth. But you added depth anyway, I think, in the DB room. And you're probably hoping what fixes the DBs if you can get a pass rush. If you can get a pass rush, and if they can somehow generate that. And again, I think it was Dion was talking about nobody expects on both sides of the ball. You've got one season of the Titans offensive coordinator and head coach and defensive coordinator on film. I think you see different schemes this year because I think the personnel fits them better. You've got Callahan handpicked a quarterback that he's probably going to be able to tailor his offense even more to.
And probably receivers too.
And probably receivers. And then you've got on the defensive side of the ball, you probably got some unique combinations that you can see with DNs and generate a pass rush more than we did. And again, we said it last year. We think that Denard got handcuffed a little bit when you started having injuries in the backfield. Now they had no idea, and we might have just hit on luck that Brownlee turned out like he is. Mm-hmm. But I mean, when Brownlee going into game 5 or 6 was your starter, you're gonna kind of scale back and do that. So I think you can see to that point. I think you do see them scheme a little different, and I'm just curious to kind of see that.
Man, and I don't know how he's gonna turn out. But man, Ola DeJeo, I know I'm jacking his name. That dude is swole up.
That dude
is. He looks like he's a football player.
Yeah, he looks the part.
He looks the part.
He looks the part. So, and we got to remember, and again, I think he's going to be a rookie year where they just going to tell him to go see quarterback, get quarterback.
Yeah.
You got to think he's only played 10 games with his hand in the ground because you see how they moved him after like game 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I like that one. I'll tell you another one. Everybody, of course, is about Restrepo. They all about her, and I'm rightfully so. I'm not going to take it away from him. Alec Amar, I'm jacking up his name, but the kid out of Stanford.
Yes, I love Alec.
He's going to be your ex receiver, and he's going to make some noise.
Yeah, I think so too. And to your point, Darius, you're right.
Right.
A lot of the pass routes and concepts that Callahan ran. If you go back and look, especially if you look at the 22 angle, 22 wide field of view, a lot of people were open.
Yep.
And somebody on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was. They broke down. I think it was like 22 plays from Levis last year, and they showed every time, and you saw at least 2 guys open. We used to have a quarterback. So it's the Bengals. So Taylor asks, is Hendrickson a trade? No, man. Is it too expensive? Too expensive, man.
So when you say expensive, what do you mean?
So you're gonna have to give up some draft picks.
So I'm comfortable with a 4th round, and I think. Again, Cincinnati is a cheap organization. Everybody knows that. And then granted, they passed the receiver. But if they will be willing to take a 4th, I'd do that. Because you have the cap space to give him a 3-year nice deal to make him a high-paid person. I wouldn't go higher than a 4th. Just because you've given up 3rd so many years in a row. But if you can get him from a 4th and heck, throw in Burks or somebody, throw in anybody.
Throw in Will.
If you can get him for a 4th, I think you do that and pay him, and that gives you playoff hopes this year.
Yeah,
it literally gives you playoff hope this year.
That's true because now you got a pass rush.
You got a pass rush. Right? You have a pass rush.
You got a proven player that knows how to get to the quarterback.
Yes,
and has led the NFL in the past couple of years.
Yes,
as sacks leader. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he's what? He's 30, I think.
Right at 30.
So he's got at least 3 more years,
that's a good
possibly.
Deal. I mean, and I think it's past the point of coming back. So I mean, because he's already, and of course, everybody comes out and say, "I'm going to sit out a year," and some players do it, but I think that's one that the Bengals are going. Let's just see. Let's wait till July and let's just see if we still hear some noise around that one.
Yeah, Joe, Femi is a beast, man. Like I said, if he looks the part, and if he turns out to be I mean, just if he can just do a straight bull rush, speed rush at this point and develop as the season goes along, I think we got something with him.
Yes.
Joe says staying on the field for the offense will help the defense so much.
Yes.
I can agree with you wholeheartedly. Deion says coaches had some growing pains last year and got better, in his opinion, to work with and got better players. Yeah. And so like Jay Lou said, man, you see the vision of the front office along with the coaching staff who got the type of players they wanted to add to this team. And got a lot younger and a lot of position and more speed as well. And so
and to Deion's point, my bad, I mean
no, go ahead.
But to Deion's point about the coaches, we got to remember this was Denard's and Callahan's first year calling plays.
That's right.
So they got a whole, and let me take it another layer back. This was Callahan's first time seeing the game from on the field.
True.
I see him in the box. So everything I've heard from him so far in the offseason, you like to have a coach who has been accountable. I mean, again, I think it'll be relevant once you get to see training camp and see more practices, because he said he made it a point to spend more time with the defense. That was something that Jeff Simmons and a lot of the players on the defensive side told him at exit interviews, that they'd like to see him spend a little bit more time on that side. I'm curious to see how he manages that, especially having a rookie quarterback. But this is when you got to trust your lieutenants. You got your quarterback coach and you got your offensive coordinator. So you trust them to game plan and get Cam up to speed where you can step back and be that CEO and see the whole team. I mean, you see how that comes together.
Right. And, if you see Big Jeff's workouts, he's done, he's doing the Derrick Henry thing where he's showing. He's the slimmest 315 I've seen, and he looks good. Deion, I believe Kearse was a linebacker, and he made that switch right before his last season. He played at Florida, I believe, and then of course he came in the league, and we saw what happened. So yeah, it's possible that we could have another situation.
And he wasn't even, and I didn't know this until listening to some of the. He wasn't even when they drafted him. He wasn't even to start.
Right, he did.
He only started playing because the dude in front of him got hurt in one of the camps he was saying, and they said he threw him right in, and next you know, freak out. So
yeah, when they were talking to the rookies, when they had that board of players that came back, some of the old heads, he make take advantage of the opportunity that you get, right, because you don't get those often, and so when you get it, you got to make it. Joe says, I also think the other coach we got from the Chargers will help Cali because he was also occupied another point over. Yeah, Mike McCoy, the senior assistant.
Yeah, Mike McCoy.
And so, we brought it up last week. I think out of all of the minor changes they made to the coaching staff, that's probably the most important one because, like you said, he's been around for a while. He's going to help. You got another. Oh, that's right. Bones. Bones. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bones. Bones is the most important. And then you add McCoy. He's right there too.
He's right there.
Yeah, Bones.
Bones, man.
The special teams is horrific. We've had so many special teams issues for the last
5 years.
Right.
4 or 5 years. We've just gotten by. Think about it. We just gotten by. Because I've been yelling at Craig Auburn and who's my guy last year? God, I
forgot his name. Yeah.
Maybe Colt?
Yeah, Colt.
Yeah. I've been yelling at them.
Colt Anderson.
I've been yelling at them for 5 years. So, and just think about it. For Callahan to be able to, I mean, we all said it when we saw it come across that he hired Bones. To be able to pull that out and hire him, that says a lot about what a coach of Bones' status thinks about him and what he's probably building here.
Yeah. and not to mention, like you said, the growing pains that Deion mentioned, the growing pains that they had last year, and to realize that, hey, everything didn't work like I thought, and we need to make some changes. And so, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not gonna get overhyped like we did last year because it's still real early. We have a team we don't know anything about per se because we got a lot of new faces in position. The offensive line got some new tools. Got Zeitler at right guard. You got Moore at left tackle. Then you got the Trench King at right tackle,
who is a slim 325.
A slim 325 is in shape. I've never seen guys that big, that slim. So unless they were bodybuilders, right? That's a different story. But football players, over 300 pounds and and not a lot of jiggle to him.
No, at all.
And a punter who can cough and kick to corners to Joe's point. So, Sly's the question mark for me on special teams. Field goal kicker. Joey Sly. Is he gonna? He's got a big leg, but is he gonna be accurate? Right? Is he gonna be accurate? So maybe this is the year, J. Lou, we get over the special teams curse.
Right? Yeah, maybe finally, because I mean, you have PTSD of them blocked punts.
right. And then people not getting that, and gunners that didn't have speed to get down the field.
Lining up wrong on the kickoff. I mean, it was a lot.
It's awful. Yes. Taylor being a kicker himself, a former kicker. Special teams is a game changing era, good or bad. Smart coaches respect special teams. That's right, man. That's right. Thank y'all, man, for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, J. Lou.
Sure.
Week 2, the second quarter of the schedule review. We come back next time, man. We'll be looking at the Chargers at home, a tough football team, playoff football team. Yeah. We actually played a pretty good game out there last year.
We did.
Quarterback.
Yes.
Questionable plays. Defense has some issues that game. We have a bye week, and we come back. We got the Texans at home, another NFC West team, and the Seahawks. And just the hits keep coming.
I think we talk about the next quarter of the schedule is the infamous stay at home for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're right. You're right. That's a whole month of football at Nissan Stadium.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations. Right. Yeah, thank you, Nathan, man. Appreciate you coming in, man. You can watch the video just top of there. Tighten up the YouTube, sir. But, man, check us out next time. We'll be back for another episode of Halftime Adjustment. We'll do the schedule, quarter 3 schedule review of this 2025 season for the Tennessee Titans, man. Keep looking out for those OTAs. Get out that information, man. A lot of good stuff coming out. A lot of guys doing some great Titan Reporter, TD, and all those folks. Yes. Man, you follow them on X, and they give you some good information about what's going on down there, man. Down there, J. Lou. Check us out next week, man. We'll be back. Another episode. Peace.
Peace.